Hey, what's up, guys? Wanted to talk to y'all about a little bit of one of the things that I have going on. I know you saw where I posted a picture of the recovered tactical pistol chassis for Glock. So I picked one of those up recently, and I want to actually give this PDW type of concept a fair shake. And you guys know I had the micro conversion kit. I still have it by Command Arms Accessories. And we can do a side-by-side tabletop comparison and a more of a formal video comparing the two at a later date. But right now, I just wanted to share this with you guys and let you know what I'm going for here. So I got this thing right here in my EDC bag. Now, granted, this is just the current EDC bag that I'm using. It's just an Outdoor Products Walmart style hiking bag. Pretty nondescript, just very simple, nothing really tactical about it, and it works. It's not great, it's not my favorite in the world, but it does work, and I can fit this gun in there in the folded configuration. So I'll set the bag aside and we can kind of talk about what we're looking at here. This is the Recover 2020 in November. And it does come with this holster. I bought the whole kit. It was like $200, and you get a shot cord sling, which is kind of ass, which is why I gutted, or I actually didn't gut 550. I just took standard 550 cord and made a single point sling for it. But you do get the holster with it. You do get some accessory rails to go out here on the front, and you also get this mag holder, which is one thing that I definitely wanted to have. And we'll go ahead and safety check it. Empty. Yes. Okay. So full mag back in the gun. So this is a 27 round Magpul mag. This is a 15 round Glock OEM mag. And then I went ahead and mounted my TLR7 Alpha on here because it was already on the gun when it was outside of the chassis. And in order to mount it on here, I just mounted it here on the right side of the chassis. And as you guys can see, the brace clears that nicely, and it also still will go in the holster without any interferences. So pretty well thought out design. I think I really love the form factor of it. Super compact, and that's great to me. Again, the holster is okay. I hadn't really used it much, but I know a lot of people will say that, oh, well, something like this is out of the question for them because it doesn't have a manual safety. Well, if you were hell-bent on carrying this thing with a round in the chamber in your bag or whatever, you know, typically these are going to be more commonly bag guns, whether it be a sling bag or something from Vertex or whatever super cool, tactical, fancy-ass bag you may have. That's totally up to you. And I may change bags in the future. I likely will. But anyway, regardless of what bag you're using, if you want to carry it chambered, then I think that this right here, having this holster available to you, it will cover the trigger guard, and it will afford you at least a higher level of safety if you did decide that you absolutely had to carry this gun in the bag with a round in the chamber. If that's what your mission requires of you, then I get it, you know, do what you got to do. But for me, it's not that big of a deal to have it chambered, and I prefer not to. If I had to deploy it, I'll just remove it from the bag, and I will charge it via the Hollow Sun red dot on top, and I'll just have to go to work. Another cool thing about this over some other chassis that I have a little bit of experience with is that you can actually fire the gun with the brace folded. So no difference. It's still 100% functional with the brace folded as well. Again, another win in my opinion. So I'll go ahead and deploy the brace for you guys. And it does just have this little tab here that keeps it stowed when it's in the stowed position. And then when it deploys, oh, look at that, knocking the hell out of the camera. When it's deployed, you have a button here for a nice solid lockup. And pretty rigid, I do like it. And the polymer is nice and solid, guys. I must say, it is a short length of pull, but I like that. That doesn't bother me at all. One thing that a lot of people say is that if you're running just traditional iron sights, you have to kind of get really low to get a really low cheek weld and bring the gun up real high into the pocket of your shoulder, pretty much over the pocket of your shoulder, and in order for you to line the sights up. That's true. That's a little bit of a reach. In my opinion, it's optimized with a slide mounted red dot such as this. They do make a riser that you can attach to one of these sides of the frame. I don't know if it attaches to the rail or if you take the rail off and it attaches directly to the slots in the actual frame of the chassis. Either way, I don't really have any plans on getting that, but what that does is it comes up and sits up over the top of the slide, and then you can mount a red dot on there if that's what you want to do. Now, granted, that would help you out with your cheek weld and being able to keep your head up a little bit higher and keep the gun a little bit lower in your shoulder. But to me, from what I'm seeing, that piece is made out of polymer, as you would imagine, and it does have a little bit of flex to it. Now, granted, this isn't a precision firearm anyway, so it's probably not a big deal, but also it's another, I think, maybe $40 or something like that to purchase that piece. Not saying that I won't purchase it at some point, but right now, this right here seems to be working quite well for me. Another thing worth mentioning in this just kind of initial impressions video, like I said, I bought the whole kit and it was like $200, and you get the mag holder, you get the chassis, and you get these two rail sections. You get charging handles that go onto the slide serrations, and I think it kind of bolts on there with some small little bolts, and that will allow you, I think they've got 2 or 3 sizes. They got a really tall one, they got like a small one, and maybe they got a medium one. I didn't even mess with them much because I knew I wanted to run it with the red dot, and that negates even having those because you can't put them on, and you don't need to because you just use the red dot. If all your stuff's mounted properly as it should be, then you could just charge it with the red dot as needed. You can still access all the controls of the firearm, and I think they really did a really great job of designing this thing. Where was I? So, like I said, on top of that, one thing about this is it is a clamshell design. So what you would do is take this mag holder off. You just depress this button and slide this off of the front, and then you loosen this bolt right here, which is the Allen head, and it comes with all the tools and everything. And then you can open this. Once you fold your brace around out of the way, you can open this part, and it just basically opens up about this way, maybe almost to 90 degrees, and then you can remove or insert the firearm. So again, let's get back to a little bit more of my philosophy of use. And ideally, I will carry something like this to supplement my firepower in a bag. And as a obvious companion to that, as a sidearm, I would be running a Glock 26 or some other 9mm double stack Glock. And I guess you can kind of already understand why. It's just right out the gate, I got magazine compatibility. So if I'm already carrying my Glock 26 and a spare, say 19 round mag or 17 round mag or 21 round mag, whatever I choose, but this is a Glock 19X mag, so I got 19 more rounds right here, then this magazine will work for this setup, and these magazines that I'm carrying here will work for this setup as well. So you guys know that I'm a big fan of magazine compatibility across these systems. And then if I want to just really go the extra mile, I can drop a couple of these 33 round Glock factory stick mags into my everyday carry bag as well. And then now I've got really a formidable amount of firepower at my disposal. Now granted, that's a lot of shooting, and the odds of me ever having to shoot my gun at all in a self-defense encounter are probably pretty rare. But if I did have to, and I had all this stuff with me, then I would be, running out of ammo probably would not be high on my list of concerns, depending on what the scenario is. And with the increase or uptick in gang violence and all the illegal immigrants and people just coming into our country through our open southern border, there's all kinds of gang activity going on. There's all kinds of home invasions and multiple attackers engaged in violent crime all over the place, in places like we've seen we've been seeing in Aurora, Colorado, and I hear there's places that are getting pretty bad in Texas down near the border, and I'm sure in a lot of other border states as well, and even in some states that you wouldn't consider being anywhere near border. With that being the case, I think that it is getting more and more important for us to start looking at having a higher level of firepower and capability available to us, depending on what's going on. So that's kind of what prompted me to really want to pursue the PDW concept a little bit more seriously. And I knew that what I had before was not really working for me just due to the bulk and some of the drawbacks of that system, which again, we can talk about later if you guys are interested in perhaps a side-by-side comparison. But with this right here, I feel that it has alleviated most of those concerns for me, at least in my initial assessment. Now, issues that I had some issues with the firearm itself, and I don't attribute any of that to the chassis. I think it was from this being, this is a ADP Builders slide, complete upper, whatever you want to call it, that I built basically from a parts kit. I ordered it all in one kit from ADP Builders, put it all together, not a big deal. And I had some growing pains with it that I attributed to being needing to be broken in. I had a lot of issues, well, a lot of times, occasions where it would fail to go all the way back in the battery when firing. It would just snag at that last little, eighth of an inch, and you could even like wiggle the firearm, and it would go ahead and shoot forward. Shot it a good bit, lubed it up, and after, I don't know, first probably 300 to 500 rounds, I would say, I'm just guessing, most of that stuff was pretty much out of sight, out of mind. But most recently, last week when I got this chassis, mounted everything up, and I had this slide on a PSA dagger frame, and I was having a bunch of issues. I shot this 27 round mag, and I probably had 4 or 5 occurrences of failure to eject, which was really more so a failure to extract, because I would look, the gun would lock open, basically getting stuck, almost inducing a double feed. I had an empty casing in the chamber, and it was trying to feed a live round on top of it. That happened a couple times. I had a couple times where it failed to go in the battery, etc. I was just having some issues in 2 separate range sessions, and done some switching of components, swapped to the Glock factory frame. Still was having issues. Cleaned, lubricated, took everything apart. Checked to make sure that the optic screw on the right side was not interfering with the extractor plunger inside of the slide. Not an issue there. So I was like, okay. So I ordered a Glock factory or OEM extractor, and I also ordered a custom or NDZ custom or something like that is the brand. We can talk more about that if you guys are interested, and if not, then it's not a big deal. But I ordered a 20-pound recoil spring and stainless steel guide rod assembly. Had those express shipped to me. They arrived on Friday, which is right in time for my plans. Worked out really well for me because I wanted to get this thing situated and get it back on the range over this long holiday weekend. Hadn't shot it as much as I wanted to. Went down and shot a mag out of it, and the issues were resolved. And some of that is the footage that you guys saw on the video where I talked about unchecked illegal immigration, and you saw me shooting this gun in this particular setup. This exact same configuration with the new internals, and I was quite pleased that I didn't have a single malfunction in that magazine. Now granted, that's one magazine, right? That doesn't really mean shit, but I couldn't get through a single magazine prior without having multiple issues. So seems like that those 2 internal components have done the trick, and what I'm going to do is I intend to do some more shooting with this thing and get a few hundred rounds out of it, and then we will kind of reconvene, and I will let you guys know if I'm still having any issues or not. Again, I don't attribute any of that to the Recover Tactical chassis system. I think that was just a symptom of, I guess, the extractor being worn out, because again, I ran this gun a good bit over the past few years since I got it, and I didn't really have enough issues to where I was really alarmed by it. Like I said, I had those initial issues, but I didn't have any ongoing long-term issues with it. And all of a sudden, it just kind of shit the bed. So I think that maybe that extractor was out of spec, or I just killed it and it just wore out. But I don't, if I had to guess how many rounds I had on this gun with this slide on it, I would say I wouldn't imagine it would be more than 2,000 rounds. And it could be a little less than that, but that's just guessing. I don't have like a damn chart or anything. I don't keep track, but I am going to be keeping track going forward with what I'm doing. And right now I've got 25 more rounds through it with the internal swapped out, and I'm going to be at least tracking up to 500 rounds to keep an eye on it and to keep tabs on what's going on with the upper and make sure that it's reliable. And then if there's more issues, then we'll just have to back up and punt. But I will let you guys know how that goes. So stay tuned for that. And we're at like 15, 16 minutes, and I think I have said enough. I will see you guys soon. I appreciate all the support, and I will get back to you guys shortly. I'm out.